Hello and welcome to our channel, A Healthier Grief Journal. I'm Father Jhon Muriel, and in this video we're going to be talking about how to plan for a funeral. Planning for a funeral is not an easy task. It's one of those very difficult challenges in our lifetime. What happens is you are in the middle of a very emotional situation. You are still grieving. You are basically in shock after receiving the news, perhaps, and then you have to make this decision very quickly. So if you haven't started funeral plans from an early stage and this just happened, you just got the news and then you need to get this plan into motion, it's a very challenging thing. I hope that during this video you can find a tip or two that perhaps will make your journey a little bit easier. See, if you have no plan before and you are out of the sudden the person in charge of making funeral plans, you will find yourself on a very compromising position. You will be making decisions that will affect you on an emotional and probably financially way. And not just you, but also your sons, your families, your relatives. One of the first things that we can do if you find yourself into that position is prayer. Prayer will always be step number one. And we're gonna pray for strength and wisdom. Wisdom because in the midst of the emotions that we're going through, we don't want to make a decision that is going to have consequences down the road. And strength because we probably gonna be facing a situation in which there are things that we cannot control and there are things that we need to do that are very difficult. So again, the first step towards a successful funeral planning is to pray for wisdom and strength. Number two. Number two will be to start as soon as possible. As I mentioned before, if you never planned for this before and you just received the news and something traumatic happened, well, you are already on this boat and you need to get this plan into motion. But if that is not your case, if you have the opportunity, let's say you have a loved one on hospice or in ICU, and there might be a few days or a few weeks, it will be very wise for you to start planning as soon as possible and be prepared for that moment. I always use this comparison when you have somebody that you love on hospice care, understanding that they are on the last days of the human journey. It's like having a flower or a bunch of flowers and you put it on a beautiful jar and you water that flower every day. You even change the water and you use every trick in the book to keep that flower beautiful, but you know that eventually that flower is going to die. And you know, in fact, that this flower is dying little by little every day, despite your best effort. And similar to that is the journey of a human being when they are placed because of a terminal diagnosis or something like that into hospice. So if you have the chance, start as soon as possible. If your loved one is still able to speak, ask them questions. How would you like your life to be honored? How would you like to be remembered? How would you like for us to speak? What would be nice for you at your service? Do you have some preference for certain music? Do you want to mention your kids, your grandkids? Do you want a full military display? What will make you happy? And having a come to Jesus conversation with that person will give you a better idea of how to honor their legacy, because the funeral plan is for a lot of people. It's for you, it's for your family, it's for your loved ones. It's also, if there is worship there, it's also for God and the Savior. But it's also and especially for the person that you love. So their opinion is always the most important opinion. Their opinion matters, and if they have the opportunity of speak, talk to you, ask them questions, and you will be relieved to have some input, and your journey towards a successful funeral planning will be just a lot easier. Step number three is it really divides in three steps: research, research, and research. And this is what I mean by research. Research means finding the logistics. You probably need to find the venue. How many people in the family do you think are going to be attending? How many friends, co-workers, neighbors, etc. Is the venue close enough? Is the venue willing to accommodate X amount of people? Is the venue willing to provide snacks? Will I have to provide the snacks? Now, what are the differences in prices and what are the packages that they offer? Will you be using just the chapel, or will you only be using the graveside part of the deal? Will you be using both? Now, do you have a pastor? Do you have a priest? Do you have a minister that is going to officiate? Or will the place will be willing to assist you into finding one? Is it going to be in English? Is it going to be Vietnamese? Is it going to be in Spanish? So there are things that you need to research. Now, it's not difficult nowadays. We got internet and you Google funeral homes around you. You're going to find plenty of them. Although it seems like the big majority of them are now part of a franchise and they can control the prices more efficiently. But there are also small places, mom and pop shops that will be able to work with you and provide a detailed package for you. You need to make sure that they will provide what you need, what your family needs. And again, sometimes when we are going through a disturbance of emotions and grief and sorrow, when we are so emotional, it's very easy to make quick decisions based on a sales pitch, and then down the road you're gonna find out that flowers were not included, for instance, or the minister was not included, for instance, etc., etc. So research, research, research. Number 4 is making a smart financial decision. Well, if the family find themselves on a very privileged situation where finances are never a concern, then you can skip this step and wait for number 5. But if you are like most of Americans, you need to plan financially and make a very wise financial decision. Because this is what happens when you approach a funeral home. In most cases, you're gonna be met by somebody who is wearing black, a nice tie and black shoes, or black suit lady on heels, and they seem to sympathize with you and they express their condolences. But don't be fooled. In reality, that person has one job, and that is to sell you a very profitable package, to sell you into something that will benefit them, not necessarily you. I'm not saying that that is the case everywhere. I'm not saying that every funeral home representative uses those tactics. What I'm saying is there are a couple, and you don't want to be victim of sales pitches and things like that. So plan accordingly. Also look for the resources already available. For instance, for our veterans, I understand that the VA has some benefits for them or for their spouses. If your loved one happens to be in a hospital environment or hospice environment, checking with the social worker will always be a good idea. Social workers handle plenty of information that will be beneficial in situations like this. Also discuss with the family. Have an open meeting with your family. You'll be surprised. Sometimes everybody in the family or some of the family members, we want to contribute. We want to honor our uncle or grandfather. We want to do something nice for them. For instance, I minister to a lot of families from Mexico, and it's not unusual to see somebody saying, I will take care of the flowers, I will take care of the food, Rosita will take care of the mariachis, and things like that. So discuss with your family, see what is available, who is willing to contribute in any sense, and you will find your financial decision not to be a burden to you. Number 5 on my notes is revisit steps 1 and 2. Step 1 is always pray for wisdom and strength. By now, you have some information. By now, you have some feedback from the person that you love, and you got some feedback from the family members willing to contribute, willing to help, willing to be part of this beautiful ceremony. By the way, I personally learned that we don't refer to funeral services anymore. I rather call them celebrations of life. And visiting number 2 is start as soon as possible. Now that you have the feedback that you needed, and now that you have do a little assessment on your financial resources, it's time to keep on moving, keep the ball rolling, and keep approaching to what it will be a successful celebration of life. Now, during the service begins, and it's time for you to relax. I know, it's easier said than done, but this is the time where you don't need to be worrying about the logistics. If the flowers arrive, if the people from the other city arrive on time, if you need to pick somebody up at the airport, hey, if they want to be there for you, they're going to be there for you. It's time for you to sit and absorb, especially absorb the support of your people, the condolences of your friends, and the presence of the minister and his message to you. The word that comes from the minister is a word that comes from God. So it's time for you to pay attention to that and receive it and welcome it in your mind and in your heart. That is crucial for a healthier grief journal. That is tremendously beneficial to you down the road. The people that came to the service, they're going to be gone after the service, or perhaps after a little reception. A week from now, 2 weeks from now, you're going to find by yourself, maybe feeling lonely. The message hopefully is going to stay with you and is going to give you strength. After the service, then focus on you. It's not being selfish. On the contrary, taking good care of you will make it easier for you to be available for that moment when your loved ones also need you. Because, yes, you lost a loved one, you buried them, but at the end of the day, your kids still need a mother. In some cases, that's what happens. A husband still needs his wife, or vice versa. A wife still needs the husband. The kids still need their daddy, and they don't understand when they are little ones. They don't understand the pain and the grief that you're going through. So focus on yourself, taking good care of yourself. Ask questions: am I eating right? Am I drinking enough water? Am I exercising? Am I taking my medications? And those are good questions to ask yourself, because if you answer no to all those questions, you might be going down the road. Maybe that's not the right expression to say, but if you answer no to those questions, it might be an indicator that you are accepting the depression that came with the loss, and perhaps an indication that you are spending too much time into being depressed. So focus on taking good care of yourself. Go for a walk, go to a friend, meet a friend or a neighbor for a cup of tea or coffee, if that is your thing. Talk to other people. Maybe plan a little time for yourself. Maybe go get your hair done. Maybe go on a fishing trip. Find something that will distract your mind for a little bit, and something that will make you walk away from that environment in which you still see the presence of your loved one, their belongings, their memories, and also all the sadness and the emptiness and the darkness. It's important to find things to do, places to be, and people to share with. Okay, full disclaimer. The tips that you heard in this video, I have picked over my 10 years of experience as a hospice chaplain, and this is what I have seen during the services that I have provided to families. I believe that they might work. If they don't work for you, that's totally fine. If you find better mechanisms, I'm glad for you. But if you find some value in this video, I will deeply appreciate if you subscribe and recommend this channel. Going through grief is not easy, but if you find a community, and in that community everybody loves one another and everybody supports one another, then we all could have a healthier grief journey. Thank you for watching this video. Until the next one, God bless.